Hello beauties, welcome back again to my channel. So guys, in today's video I'll be recreating this beautiful dress by Vicky James. So guys, let's dive into it. I'll start by taking my half length measurements. So now I'm taking my shoulder to my armhole measurement, which is 8 inches. Now go ahead and make a straight line to connect the dots together. I'll take from shoulder to my half length. My half length is 17 inches. I'll mark the line right here and then roll a straight line to connect the lines together. I'll go ahead and label my chest line and my half length, which is my waist. I added half an inch for joining allowance. So the next thing I will do now is to take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 15 inches, which is 7.5. I added half an inch for joining allowance, making it 8 inches. I'm going to connect these dots, making a straight line. So for my neck width, I'm using 3.5 inches. I mark it right there. So for my shoulder slant, I came down from my shoulder line by 1 inches. I'm going to connect this 1 inches to the 3.5 inches neck width I marked before. So now I'll go ahead and take my armhole curve. I'm going to divide my shoulder into two from my shoulder slant downward. So I'll mark the midpoint right there, and then now I'll go ahead and just draft out my armhole curve. From my shoulder, I marked 5.5 inches for the depth of my keyhole. So I'm using 5.5 inches. I'm going to mark it right here as well, and then use my ruler to connect the lines together. For my neck depth, I'm using 4.5 inches. I'm going to mark 4.5 inches for my neck depth and connect from my neck width down to my neck depth, just as you see me do. So from the center point, I'm going to come out by 1.2 inches, and I'm going to connect from my armhole curve right here down to the 1.2 inches I marked. So guys, this is all for the upper part. So I'll be cutting out this part right here. So guys, just watch carefully, you will understand what I did right there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my bust point. So from my shoulder, I'm going to mark 10.5 inches as my bust point. I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and then use my ruler to make a straight line. So this will serve as my dart line. I went ahead and used my marker to mark out my bust line just to make it visible. So this is my bust point right here. So at my waistline, I'll come out by 0.7 inches on both sides. I'm going to connect from my bust point down to the 0.7 inches I marked out. So that will serve as my dart legs. On this dress, I'll be adding bust dart. From my bust line, I came down by 2 inches. I marked the point right there, and the next thing I will do is to connect it to meet my bust point at my dart waistline, just as you see me do. So I'll be cutting out this part right here. So I'll go ahead now and input my bust measurement. My bust measurement is 9.7 inches. I added 1.2 inches for sewing allowance. At my waistline, I mark my waist measurement. So I'm going to replace my dart intake right here and add my 1.2 inches for sewing allowance as well. So I will go ahead and connect from my bust to my waistline. At my bust line, I came out by half an inch. I'm going to connect it back to the bust dart so that I won't have shortage after cutting out my bust dart. Now I'll go ahead and cut out my pattern paper. Please guys, watch carefully on how I am cutting it out. I went ahead and cut out the yoke so that I'll be able to splash the upper part, because this dress has pleats at the upper part if you watch carefully. From the center point I came out by 4.5 inches. That is where the pleat will stop. Now I'll go ahead and cut out my bust dart, and I will also cut out my waist dart. So with this I'll be able to splash the upper part open. Please guys, before you splash the upper part, just make sure you measure the length of the upper part so that when you pleat on it, you know the exact measurement you will be pleating. I have ruled out the lines I'm going to splash, so your splashing lines must end at the bust point, just as you see me do. It must end at the bust point, so you are not going to cut out the splashing or to just stop at quarter of an inch at the bust point. So with this, it will be easy to spread on the fabric. If you want your pleats to be fuller, you can increase the width of your lines you want to splash. You can increase it to 6 inches, maybe closer to the armhole, but it must end at the bust point area, okay? So now go ahead and close my dart using my tape. So I'll close the waistline and the bust dart just like this. So after closing it, automatically the splash at the upper part will spread itself, just as you see in this video. So I'm just closing the dart. I'm not overlapping. I'm using my tape to close it down. Now I'll also go ahead and close the bust dart. I will use my cello tape to tape it down. So this is it guys, it's very easy. Just watch carefully and you understand what I am doing. So after doing that, I'm going to place it on my fabric just as you see me do. So I added half an inch to the upper part and the down part just to be on the safer side. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out. So guys, this half an inch I added to the down part, I'm going to cut it off because I've already added half an inch before. So I just added that half an inch just to be on the safer side. I'm done with the front half length. Now let's move on to the back half length. This is my starting point right here. So I went ahead and marked 1 inches for my zipper allowance. So I went ahead and used my ruler to connect the dots together, making a straight line. Now I will mark my half length measurement. So my front half length is 17 inches and my back half length is 15.5. So after doing that, I'll connect the dots together. From my zipper line, I placed my tape and marked my shoulder measurement and added half an inch for joining allowance. So from my shoulder line I came down by 8 inches for my armhole. That will serve as my armhole line. So I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the dots together. So for my back width measurement, I'm using 3.5 inches and I use 1 inches for my shoulder slant. I'm going to connect the shoulder slant to meet my neck width measurement. I'm going to divide my armhole into 2 to get my armhole curve. So I'm using half an inch for my armhole curve at the back. At the front I use 0.7 inches. So I'm just using my curve ruler to connect the dots together. My back neck depth is 1.5 inches and my front neck depth is 4.5 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place my bust span measurement for my dart, which is 4 inches. So I'm going to mark 4 inches at the waistline and also mark 10.5 inches for my bust point. So this will just indicate where my dart will stop. The back has no bust dart. So I'm going to just use my ruler to make a straight line. So guys, after doing that, at my waistline I came out by 0.7 inches on both sides. I will connect from the bust point down to the dart legs I marked out. So after doing that, I'll be cutting out this dart. So I'm going to connect from my armhole to one of the dart leg and the other, just as you see me do. I did not take record of this. I didn't know that it wasn't recording, but just watch how I connected the dart. To eliminate the zipper bulge at the back, I minus half an inch from the waistline and just make a slant. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and cut them out. Just watch carefully on how I am cutting them out. So now I'll go ahead and cut the dart. Just watch carefully. So I'm going to stop at 1/4 inch at the armhole area and cut at the other dart leg. So after cutting it out, I'm going to close it back and use my tape to tape it down. So after closing it back, there is shortage at the waistline, which is the down part. So I'm going to place another paper underneath this pattern paper so that I'll be able to complete the paper. So I'll just place another paper underneath like this and complete the half length. So guys, after doing that, I'm going to just take my measurement again to get a straight line and then cut out the excess. So guys, this is all for the back and we are done. Let's move on to the skirt part. I've ruled out my lines on my paper. So this is the waistline. So this is the waistline, the hip line, the knee line and the full length. So I'm going to take my waist measurement, which is 8.5. So I will add 1.2 inches for allowance, sewing allowance. I'll come over to the hip line. I'll mark my hip measurement and add my sewing allowance, which is 1.2 inches. So I'm going to connect with my ruler from my waist down to my hip line. At my knee line, I minus 1 inches away from my hip, then add 1.2 inches allowance and use it to mark it down to the full length. You can also decide to use your hip measurements to measure it down to the full length. It all depends on you. I'm just trying to shape in the sharp edge at the hip area. Now go ahead and continue my measurement down to the full length. From my knee line, I came down by 6 inches. So that 6 inches will be for the neck at the knee. I don't know what to call it, but you understand what I'm saying. So mark 6 inches, then use my ruler to make a straight line. So this part right here, I'll be cutting it out. So guys, I'm done with the front. I'll go ahead and cut it out. Now I went ahead and placed this front pattern paper on another paper so that I'll use it to cut out the back. So I had 1 inches for zip allowance for the back. Go ahead and use the front paper to cut it out. So this is the zip allowance right here. This is the back and this is the zip allowance. So at the waistline from the zip allowance, which is the back, I came out by half an inch for the zipper bulge as well, just the same way I did to the back half length. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I'm done with the back pattern. I went ahead and placed my tape at the front pattern paper. From the waistline, I came down by 0.7 inches, which is the middle point of front pattern paper. I'm going to place my ruler at the side of the front waistline down to the 0.7 inches I marked. So I'm going to connect it like slant. This will eliminate the center folding at the front skirt. I'm not going to add any dots to this skirt. That's why I'm using this pattern to cut it out. This pattern I just did is for the front only. The back is not included. Now I'll go ahead and cut out this part right here. The back and the front pattern paper are together. So guys, this is the front fabric right here. I went ahead and opened it up, then use my chalk to indicate the center so that when I want to sew my elastic at the center, it will be very easy for me to indicate. I tried using chalk but it wasn't working well, so I had to switch to pencil. So guys, I've cut all my pattern papers on my fabric. This is the yoke right here. I added half an inch to the down part and the sides. I had 3/4 of an inch to the neckline. So I'm done cutting it out on my fabric. So I also add half an inch to the waistline for the down part for joining. For the back, I went ahead and indicate the upper part and the zip area so that it will be very easy for me to sew when I want to join the half lengths together. So this is all for the cutting. For the yoke, I have two pieces of this. So one will serve as the main fabric and one will serve as the lining. So I'll go ahead and iron paper stay one of them. So guys, before you pleat on your fabric, just make sure you measure this part right here to know the measurements you will have after pleating. So I went ahead and cut out an interfacing for the back. So guys, for the front, I went ahead and used this pattern right here to cut out facing for the front. I won't be using lining, so I'm using this pattern paper to cut it out. Now this is the yoke right here. I have ironed my paper still on it, one of the fabric. So I'll place the cape together like this, right side facing each other. I'll go ahead and stitch the upper part, which is the neckline, and down part with half an inch. Before I stitch, I pin them down. So this is the front half length right here. So I went ahead to start pleating on them. So after pleating, I will just measure the length of my half length just to make sure I have the exact measurement I needed. So yes, I'm done pleating. Now I'll take it over to my sewing machine to run stitches on the pleated area to secure my pleats. I went ahead and measure the upper part again just to be sure I have the exact length I needed. So now I'm done. So this is the wrong side of my fabric. Now I'll go ahead and stitch my elastic band. The length of this elastic band is the half of this fabric. So when I stretch it to the end, it will gather like this. So I'll sew my elastic to the fabric. So this is the yoke right here. I've turned it over to the right side. Now I went ahead and placed it together like this to get the mid part and notch it at the center. So I'm going to place it at the right side of my fabric. So I also went ahead and notch the center part of my fabric. So I'm going to place it at the notch part at the main fabric. So this is the right side facing each other. The yoke and the fabrics are on the right side. So this is the interfacing I cut for the lining for the front. So I went ahead and fold it together and get the midpoint and notch it. So I'll place it to the midpoint of the yoke and the main fabric and pin it down. So I'm going to pin it down to the ending of my fabric. So the interfacing is placed at the right side of my fabric. So after pinning them down, I'll take it over to my sewing machine and stitch it down with half an inch. So guys, I'm done stitching. This is what it looks like. Now I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side. So I went ahead and used my needle to tack the facing. Okay, I could not use any gum because of the pleat at the front, so I had to use my hand to tack it down properly. So this is the back side right here. This is the back side right here. So I have used my facing to turn the neckline. So I placed it facing at the right side of my fabric. I also run stitches to close the zipper area so that I'll be able to sew the shoulder together. Now to sew the shoulders together, I went ahead and placed the back and the front together, right side facing each other. So I have placed them properly and make sure they are all aligning, and I'm using the back interfacing to cover up the front shoulder. Now I'll go ahead and stitch the two shoulders with half an inch. So after doing that, I'll be right back. So I'm done stitching the shoulder. This is what it looks like at the front, which is the right side. For the back, I went ahead and used hemming gum to hem it down. So this is what it looks like. To join the half length together with the down part, I went ahead and fold the half length together like this. Now I'll get the midpoint and then notch the center. For the down part, which is the skirt, I'll also fold it together like this to get the midpoint and then notch the center. I also indicate the upper part of the skirt right here. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to place the notch part of the half lengths together, pin them down and take it over to my sewing machine and stitch it down with 1/2 inch. I will also do the same thing to the back. I'll place the bags together and stitch them down. So I'm done stitching the half length. I also went ahead and fixed my invisible zip. After sewing my zip, I close my zip allowance down to the ending of my full length. So this is it, guys. The next thing I'm going to do now is to fix my sleeve. So to cut out my sleeve, I'm going to measure the back armhole so that I'll be able to cut out my zip. So after measuring the armhole, I had 9.5. This is my sleeve right here, and I also went ahead and hemmed the down part, which is the wrist. The next thing I will do now is to place my sleeve. So I notch the center of my sleeve. I'm going to place it at the shoulder line, pin it down. So I will start stitching from the back side. So I will just pin it down to the ending of my fabric. So I'm done pinning. I'll go over to my sewing machine and sew it down with 1/2 inch. So I'll stop at the shoulder. So I've stitched it down. Now I went ahead and arranged the front properly, just make sure it's well relaxed. To fix the front sleeve, I'm going to take the edge of my sleeve and the edge of my front armhole curve. I'll place it together like this, pin it down to where my keyhole stopped. So after doing that, I'll take it over to my sewing machine and stitch it with 1/2 inch. So the sleeve is very easy to fix. I'll sew my sleeve. I also went ahead and shaping the sleeve. So this open part right here at the keyhole is still open. So I just use my iron to fold it inward. So I'll take my hemming gum and use it to gum it together so that when I put it on, it will be moving up and down. So I'll just open it up like this, place my hemming gun inside and gum it with my iron. So I'm done with the upper part. The next thing I went ahead to do is to sew my straps. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out 1.5 inches width for my straps. So I fold it into two like this, then I'll just stitch it down to the ending. So you can cut out one full strap long enough for you. So after stitching, I went ahead and cut out the excess from the straps, then turn it over to the right side using my needle. So after doing that, at my fabric, the spacing between them are 1.5 inches. I marked 1.5 inches. So that will be the space I'll be using for my strap. The strap length I need is 3 inches. So I'll add 1/2 inch for stitching, making 3.5 inches on fold, just as you see me do. So I'll use this strap to cut as many as I can. So after doing that, I'm going to place the strap on the right side of my fabric like this. Just check the way I am placing it. Make sure your strap is straight and it's not folding. So I'll place it like this and turn it over to the other line I marked out. Now go ahead and stitch it with 1/2 inch downward. So I'm done with the upper part. So the next thing I'll do now is to go over to the down part and sew. So this is the back right here. I also went ahead and stitched the zipper area together. So I placed the front fabric right side facing each other. So I'll go ahead and stitch the sides using the same length I used for the upper fabric. Okay, so I'll stitch them down and turn it over to the right side. So I also went ahead and mark 1.5 inches space for the down part. So make sure the down part and the upper part, they are aligning together, they are equal. So after doing that, I'll start sewing my straps. So this is the way I'm going to sew the strap on this fabric. So I'm going to place the right side of my fabric like this and place the upper fabric like this on top the down fabric. So this smaller fabric that I marked out is at the right side, so, and is the front fabric. I place the other fabric on top. So the one I place on top is the front fabric. So I'm going to pass through my strap like this, just the way I'm doing it now. I'll place it down to the lines I marked out, and then I'm going to stitch it down. So I'm going to repeat the process again so that you will see. So I'll pass through my strap like this. Make sure the straps is arranged and not twist. Then I'll pin it down and stitch with 1/2 inch. So this strap is placed at the right side of my fabric. So I'll take it over to my sewing machine and fix all my straps. So guys, I'm done stitching my straps. This is what it looks like at the end of the stitching. So guys, I also went ahead and hemmed the down part of my dress. So guys, for the strap at the neckline, I cut out 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and pleat it like this and then pass my strap like this and tack it down at the back, which is the under. So this is all guys, this is the finished look of my dress. Thanks for watching. So guys, this is me rocking my dress. This is the finished look of this dress. Please, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Please like and share. Drop a comment on the comment section below and click the notification button to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much guys for your support. See you guys on my next video. Bye.